Hey bestie, and welcome to this week's episode of the Plobcast. I do apologize for the random SpongeBob background noise. It is the only channel at this hotel that's interesting, so we're just leaving SpongeBob on. But as a reminder, this podcast is not for little ears, though. Random fun fact about SpongeBob. Did you know that SpongeBob was originally invented for high, stoned, and drunk college kids? It was initially supposed to be on Adult Swim, and I can't remember the exact process that led to Nick getting it, but Nick ended up with the rights of it. They edited some things, released it as a child's cartoon. That is why in the first couple of seasons, if you watch the original SpongeBob episodes, it can get pretty raunchy, especially if you find like the DVDs and stuff, not the streaming version, because the streaming version you can tell, you even know that it's cut out, because if you look, the times of the episodes are like 2 to 3 minutes less than a regular episode would run, and it's because of them cutting out a lot of the, raunchy and dirty or secret jokes that are in those first couple of seasons. But it's still a good show, even though, it's been redirected. I still like SpongeBob. I've got, the imagination, the nobody cares rainbow and stuff that I did. Started that whole fad, which I love when I see somebody do that, because I'm like, it's been 10 years and y'all still doing it. We will actually get to see the SpongeBob store in Universal here in a couple of days. I am pre-recording this at 8:30 at night on a Wednesday, so that it will be out for you guys on Thursday, and I'm going to schedule it because we're traveling on Thursday, so that falls into this. You can eat for this first part of the podcast, though, because the story I'm going over today isn't necessarily gross. It's just more of another insane Magic the Gathering player. If you've not seen the video, because I did release it like yesterday or the day before, it's about the court case with the Magic the Gathering player. So if you have not seen, and we're going to get in more detail if you have seen it, I had somebody send me about a month ago, and I just now got to it. I do apologize, because I wanted to deep dive it, and I was like diving to find more information on this, because I could just find the clips on YouTube, and I finally found some like friends of these people and whatnot that had posted about it. So there was a Magic the Gathering Magic the Gathering player who, him and his ex-girlfriend, ended up in the Judge Judy of all places court case, and it was a whole thing. So when I was sent these videos, I was sent them with a caption. The person who sent it to me said, "Of course it's at a card shop." And I'm like, oh Lord, what am I in for? And I open it up and I see the defendant. And to be clear, this is not me making fun of him, but I just want to point, I just want to know what the secret society going on with Magic the Gathering players is, because of course it's a Magic the Gathering player, and he has one of the two themed looks. And if you are in the Magic Gathering community, you know exactly what I am talking about. Sorry, the dang mic got messed up. But you know what I'm talking about, where there is like two themed looks that you see so many Magic Gathering players with these looks. And it's not that they're necessarily bad. I just want to know why there's like a uniform to play Magic the Gathering. You get two options. You can either be the Magic Gathering player that has the basketball shorts and the graphic tee, or you're the one who has the same beard and longerish hair, and you have the exact same glasses. And just to point out how like crazy popular this is, these particular looks within the Magic the Gathering community is, I have this mutual named Sam, and she is super sweet. Her and her boyfriend went viral a while back because her boyfriend and her were out in the mall shopping, and one of those TikTokers that like runs around and shoves a camera in random people's faces, he came over to her and was hitting on her with her boyfriend standing there, and was like, "Oh, I just thought that was your brother." Very much gave that like stereotype that because she is a traditionally attractive woman, and he is a shorter guy, that he must not, he must be the brother or something, which I hate that. It's something I've dealt with myself too. Dating a lot of nerds, I don't like to get dressed up a lot of times when I do, because I get those rude comments. "Oh, that must be your brother, and you must be doing this for charity." Well, shut the fuck up. I'm gonna promise you something right now. A nerd is gonna be better in bed than your weird ass. Okay, I'm not gonna traumatize you guys by going into detail about that, but I'm just saying. Anyways, now that I've made that this is why the podcast is not for children. Anyways, I thought, like, we ended up becoming mutuals because I thought it was funny. The irony is her boyfriend and my brother look alike. They have the same beard, same glasses, same haircut. And I've met like 10 other guys that play Magic the Gathering that have this exact look. Like, you got a secret society somewhere? Okay. I feel like there's some secret society, and it's only men who play Magic the Gathering that do this, because I've never seen like a themed for females that play, like a women that play Magic the Gathering have all kinds of different like looks and stuff they go with. But for some reason, guys who play Magic the Gathering, they're like, these are the 2 look options we have. We can't do anything else. And I'm like, why? They're not bad looking. A lot of the looks do look good. It's just like, why is this a uniform though? Why are they like, you could go into any card shop in freaking America right now on Magic Gathering night and find somebody in the Magic Gathering uniform, as I call it. So when I saw that comment about the card shop and I saw the defendant, I was like, this is going to be Magic Gathering. I already know it before I even looked it up, which I did find, the friends and stuff that had made comments giving more information. So yes, it was a Magic Gathering player, but the second I saw him, I'm like, Magic Gathering. This is what it's going to be about. I already heard the card shop comment. This is Magic Gathering. And it was. So this particular case, oh my gosh, this idiot was trying to argue with Judge Judy, which if you grew up on Judge Judy, you don't argue with Judge Judy. She will cook you into the ground. That woman is sassy. She don't give a fuck. I think that is why she ages so well, because she lays into people sometimes. I mean, not even sometimes, most of the time. Like, if you try to get sassy with Judge Judy, it is not going to end well for you. Also, please ignore the noise outside the door if you can hear it. So we'll discuss that in a little bit, because that's a weird event that's happening, in this hotel. But during this court case, what had essentially happened, because they had sent me those 2 videos and I had to deep dive to find more information on this. Apparently he had been at the card shop playing Magic the Gathering for 7 hours at that point. Dude had literally been at the card shop for 7 hours. Girlfriend says, hey, I want to leave. She's not even playing. She's just been sitting there watching. Even as someone who loves games and card games and stuff, I could never imagine just sitting and watching one for 7 hours. That would be, I'd get bored too. So she says, hey, I'm going to leave. I'll come back later for you or whatever. He's like, no, you're my ride. You can't leave. He ends up having a whole tantrum. And this is a grown man. They end up in a physical altercation. Now, the statement had changed multiple times. But from what I could see, apparently it led to choking. It led to choking at one point, to cut the domestic violence details out short, which is what he ended up getting arrested. He ends up getting arrested. She bails him out. That's one of the things they're suing for. So this court case was not for the domestic violence. Judge Judy doesn't do things like this. This is small claims court. She was trying to get some damages that he'd done to her car and stuff back, but also trying to get the bail back, because he got locked up for domestic violence that night and she bailed him out. And I'm not sure, like I said, I don't know how she didn't get the money back, because clearly he went to court, that he's there. And if you bail somebody out, you're supposed to get that money back. So I don't know if maybe she sent it to somebody else and that they physically bailed him out and was supposed to pay her back, but she's trying to get the money back. First of all, oh my gosh, I know the statistic of 7 times before you leave is there, before you leave for good in domestic violence. I've been through it. I volunteered with it for years. I know. But please, if you had somebody locked up for domestic violence, especially for choking, because choking is one step away from killing. That is, once they've escalated to choking, that is when your life truly can be in danger. That has been showed through studies, statistics. Abusers themselves have admitted once they get to that point, that is, your life is in danger. That is the point of no return. Once the choking starts, you need to get the fuck out of there. I mean, you should be getting out of there beforehand, if there's domestic violence, but whether it's a man or a woman. But either way, once the choking happens, that is your last warning before that person ends up escalating to taking your life. But she was suing him she did win, by the way, from everything. I couldn't find the final clip of how much she got or anything, but I saw the comments and everything that she won. But yeah, please do not ever, bail out somebody that you put in jail for domestic violence. That's just wild. And I understand there's a lot of manipulation and stuff. He was very gaslighty, trying to gaslight Judge Judy at one point even, and Judge Judy was not having it. She was like, fuck you. Please, for the love of God, though, why would you? I just want to know how a grown man gets to that point where you've played Magic Gathering for 7 hours, your girlfriend is being supportive and sitting there for 7 hours, because not a lot of people do that. And that's not just women, but like in general, having a partner that is going to sit and just watch your hobby while they are doing nothing in a very uncomfortable card shop chair for 7 hours straight. That is a lot of support right there. That is a great partner for you to fuck it up because you didn't want her to leave because she was your ride, even though she offered to come back and get you. Like, you wanted to be that. He had this mentality if he wanted to leave right whenever he, this whole episode, and like I said, some of the clips are on TikTok, some of them you can find on YouTube, some of them you can find on I found a couple on Reddit. That's how I got the full story, because some of them were hard. I did tag them on the TikTok video in the comments if you would like to go watch the couple of clips that are on TikTok. Those ones, like I said, it didn't seem that bad at first. I was like, oh, just a plop outside of a card shop. But then when you start finding the rest of them and the posts from friends and stuff, it is bad. I just don't understand how you get to that level of addiction with Magic the Gathering of all things. You're acting like it's fucking heroin or something over here. Abusing your girlfriend, ruining a relationship with a clearly very supportive partner. Because you wanted her to stay so you could leave at the exact minute you want to leave. That's insane. That's insane. There's no nice way to say that. Although, you know who I would like to play Magic the Gathering for 7 hours? The kids in the hotel right now. Because I got to talk about this, because I'm hoping somebody will have some advice on this, because I did not know how to handle this. I have asked around. Nobody seems to know what I should have done in this position that I was put in last night. But I really wish these were like nerdy Magic the Gathering kids. I'd rather prefer that than deal with what I dealt with last night. So there is a massive church group of teenagers here, right? They're here for some event here in North Carolina. Massive group of teenagers, and they're staying at this hotel. And last night, I went out to get some, I can't remember what I went to get out of the car. I went to get something out of the car, and I rolled back up in my League of Villains and shirt and Juicy Couture shorts, looking like a hot mess. And I look over, and this little 15-year-old girl is out in the hallway, and she's sitting there with some like books, and I'm like, oh, did you lock yourself out? Like, do you need help with because I noticed she didn't have a phone. She was like with some books, so I was like, do you need to use my phone? I'm just trying to be polite, because she looked like she might be locked out of the room. And young kids, when they stay in hotels or this could be her first field trip. She don't know what to do. Like, I remember my first field trip. I didn't know. Like, I was lucky because I had older siblings, older friends and stuff that could help me like prepare for stuff like this. But there's a lot that this is their first time away from home. You're thinking maybe she doesn't know that you can go downstairs and like ask, or maybe she needs help finding her shit. She's just sitting there quietly, right? And I ask her, I'm like, oh, do you need help? Whatever. Tell me why this 15-year-old little girl looks me dead in my face. And she's like, oh no, I'm just out here because my roommate's fucking her boyfriend in there. And I am taken back, because what the fuck do I say to that? Like, I'm sorry, what? What do you mean? Because all of you guys are like, and I asked another one of the kids, they said that their group is 14 to 17-year-olds, and they're paired with other people their age. And that little girl said she was like 15. So that means it was other 15-year-olds in there doing the nasty, and she got their roommates sitting outside of the door. And it's a church group is the wilder part. I mean, that's not wild. I grew up in church groups. Lord, if you grew up in church groups and going to like Vacation Bible School as a kid, if you went to like Southern Baptist or you were Catholic or anything like that, those are the freakiest kids. I'll never forget my grandmother's house before she moved and stuff. And also it's in between the house that I, grew up when I was real little before we moved to Charleston. But, we were beside the Parkersburg Catholic School, and those were the ones that constantly had the teen pregnancy, the scandal, the getting caught doing all kinds of crazy things that repressed crazy. I remember College Humor did a video where it was like the 6 girls you'll date in college, and one of them was talking about the religious girl, and they're like, there's nothing like real repressed kink. And I'm like, yeah. The extreme conservatives get real kinky. I can tell you that right now. The amount of extremely conservative men who come in my DMs wanting me to degrade them, yeah. But it's still, I felt like I should say something to like one of the instructors or something, one of the chaperones, but I didn't know how to find a chaperone. I didn't know who the fuck I was. Do I tell the hotel front desk? Like, what do I do in this situation? And these kids apparently are very trusted, because I still haven't seen a chaperone. I know she said there was a chaperone. I did see one of them get them off the bus that they rode in on. But other than that, I've just seen these kids running around. I have not seen any of them like with the chaperone to inform them. And I'm not trying to, I know there's probably like, I mean, this is supposed to be an 18 plus podcast, but I'm sure if I said this on TikTok, I'd have a bunch of teenagers being like, you're being nosy. I'm trying to help you not end up being a teen mom or like, end up in a bad situation or whatever. I don't know what do I do in that situation? Like, how would I find the chaperone? Because she sure as hell wasn't going to tell me. That little girl wasn't. She wasn't going to snitch on her friend. She's out here reading a book so they can get it on. Why is this such a like? Only I would get in this weird fucking situation. Only me. I have the worst luck. And I've been like looking so that maybe like I can tell them if I see a chaperone, but I literally have not seen a chaperone the entire time after they got off the bus, and this happened last night. So if anybody has advice, like maybe you've run church groups and you know how they find chaperones or where they're supposed to be at, because this was literally like the middle of the night. It was super awkward. I didn't know what to say or do. I was just thrown back because this Gen Alpha is fucking uncensored. They are unfiltered. I thought I was unfiltered. That little girl looked me right in my fucking face and said, yeah, my roommate's fucking her boyfriend. I'm like, oh, okay. I feel like maybe you guys should like be planning your Jesus play right now with your church group, but I guess that's what you guys decided to do instead. Like, I don't know if it's the autism or what, but I am cursed to always end up in these weird situations, and then I just don't know what I'm supposed to do about them. Like, I feel like it's a weird prank from God. And he's just like, let me fuck with you. Because only I would get in these situations out here asking for advice on a podcast on how I alert a chaperone of what's going on. Speaking of awkward situations, I had somebody earlier sent me, if you've seen the gay Mormon TikTok, they sent me that. And despite the fact that I hunted as a child quite a bit, well, spending summers on the farm and stuff, it took me way too long to get that meme. That video has like 7 million views, and I had multiple people send it to me because they thought it would be funny. And if you don't know, it's a guy, he's in a hunting outfit, and he's running, and he's like, gay Mormon. That guy said, the guy said, freeze, gay Mormon, gay Mormon. And then he's like running away, and he's like, why are there gay Mormons out here or something? He was trying to say game warden is what he was supposed to say. And I am so stupid. I sat there. I've had so many people send me that today, and I sat there watching it, trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. It finally dawned on me. The guy's trying to say game warden. So if you ever feel stupid, just remember, I'm probably stupider. Heck, if you want to feel even smarter, I still have people in the comments who are on my video about my friend's mom and her Motley Crue groupie experience, and all that whole situation where that person went on the podcast and everything, talking about it. And I'm still getting comments of people being like, so you might be his kid. And I'm like, what part of it's my friend's mom did you know? Like, bro, this is first grade English reading. How are we coming here? Also, I'm not old enough to have been born in the 70s or 80s. Thank you very much. Very rude. I am a late 90s baby. Okay, my birthday is November 27th. I am literally right on the line of Gen Z and millennial. Like, right on that line. And I'm too autistic to understand the slang that either of them use. I remember I went viral one time for this video with cosplay forever ago, and somebody, like, I had like 100 comments calling me a goat, and I was so stupid I didn't know what that, this was back in like 2019. I had no idea what that meant. No idea. And I thought everybody was saying that I was like hairy or an animal. I was like looking in the video, did I shave my armpits? Why are we calling me a goat? What the fuck did I do? Why are y'all bullying me? And then finally somebody explained to me that it was actually a compliment. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you ever see something and you assume that I know what, I promise I don't. There are so many times people will assume that I know something. Bro, I have no idea. I have no idea. One time when I had that troll bullying group, which, I mean, those incels still have a freaking Telegram group about me, about my GameStop story videos, because I offended them by telling them they need to shower. But there was one time I had somebody who was like, oh yeah, you remember that person that made a video about you? And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, that incel that made a video about you. And that was like back in February. They'd apparently made it in February, and they brought this up a couple weeks ago. And I was like, no, I have no idea. They always block me before they post because they ain't got no fucking nuts. They block me before they post it, and I've got the video now. It's this like 20-year-old incel, and he's like screaming about how women shouldn't work at GameStop and women shouldn't be in gaming, and how I apparently am the prime example of why, because I don't understand their culture of not showering and wiping their ass up. What the fuck? Like, that's the short version of the video. I think it actually got taken down because I reported it from my friend reported it too and stuff, and now I can't find it. But I did download it beforehand, so I could include it in a YouTube eventually. But I genuinely had no idea that video was out there for months. I don't keep up with them. I really don't. Like I do know fucking Merlin the Chomo supporter over here with their bullshit where they're always cropping my videos and stuff has like a 3-hour long and a 1 hour long video. I've never watched either of those about me because I have a whole playlist proving that every single thing that they said is just them cropping videos and lying about other creators for clout. They do that. But the second that they made that video talking about the man who killed his own child and was caught with a bunch of CP and made that video being like, I don't care what he's guilty of. And I found out that one of their partners is a registered sex offender. I was like, nope, I'm done. I was sent that. I didn't even know about their partners until one of their former friends sent it to me. As soon as that, I was like, I refuse to give this person any more attention. I don't support pedophile supporters. That's all they want is me to talk about them, to give them attention so people go view their bullshit. So I have nothing to do with that. So if you think that I know something, I promise I don't. I'm stupid. I'm oblivious half the time to this shit. I don't pay attention to it. Like I said, I don't pay attention to the new slang. I try. Okay, but sometimes, what was that one comment? Someone said in the comments of a video, they were like S, like the letter S, that Warhammer player. And I was like, the fuck does that mean? I asked them, I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And they're like, I'm talking about their comment back was, I'm talking about the Warhammer player in the video. And I'm like, yeah, but what's the S mean? I've heard of L, I've heard of W, like lose, win. What the fuck does S mean? Am I suck off him? I don't fucking know. I'm not doing that because that guy was grody. Like, but what the fuck does S, that Warhammer player mean? What are these memes? Not memes. What are these acronyms y'all keep coming up with? I feel like a fucking boomer over here trying to decipher my comments sometimes. Oh, I do need to quickly correct myself from my last episode. In my last episode, I had talked about Fort Leavenworth, the military prison, and I accidentally said Fort Leonard, and some of y'all came for me. I had like 4 different veterans in my DMs who were like, you said Fort Leonard by accident. And I'm like, fuck. So no, Fort Leavenworth, the military prison, is what I was talking about when I talked about my ex NCO that is there after he spent 17 years assaulting female soldiers and all of that crap, where he constantly was just moved around whenever people followed sharp and they'd get retaliation and stuff. So people stopped reporting. But yes, I meant Fort Leavenworth, not Fort Leonard. Ironically, Fort Leonard is where the MPs do their training, so I do think that's a little ironic. I think that's why my brain mixed that up in the moment. And just another reminder, as a civilian, you are not going to be drafted. I promise, like, unless we get a war with the aliens, with how many active duty, how many reserves, with all of the training we have nowadays, and with the IRR, the inactive, we're ready reserves and stuff, you are not going to have to worry about get drafted. I swear, every day I log in and see at least 10 videos of that, of people being like, oh my god, I'm gonna get drafted. No, you're not. You're fine. Stop worrying. Like I said, unless we go to war with the aliens, unless the entire country comes up against us or something crazy, like, or so the entire world or whatever, like, we're not gonna need soldier. We're good. Also, there's good reason. So if you don't know, the reason why they have a recruitment shortage is not because of lack of people applying. It is because of lack of people qualified because of all these qualifiers and stuff that they have. I was sitting thinking about this because I saw people who were doing like the Gen Z, what I'm wearing to my draft, which I have a funny one that I'm going to do when I get home. I mean, it's a little dark humor. It's a little bit more than dark humor. It's a little traumatizing video I'm going to do when I get back. But anyways, I was thinking about it, about how Gen Z, so if you haven't heard the song CPR by Cupcake, it's a dirty song. It's a very dirty song. But what's funny is it is actually at the beat that you would do CPR with. There used to be the Staying Alive song and stuff like that, but CPR by Cupcake, which is a very dirty song, is actually to the beat of CPR, like CPR rhythms. And all I can imagine is a Gen Zer becoming a combat medic, and they're, downrange trying to give somebody CPR, and they're just fucking singing the Cupcake song. Hold on, I'm gonna play you a short clip of this song so you understand. Customer service. So yeah, that if you are in the medical field, you know that that song is actually to the beat of CPR. So could you imagine some like 19, 20-year-old combat medic downrange in fucking Iraq, and they're doing I saved dick by giving it CPR, singing that out loud while giving chest compressions. Whatever saves the person at the end of the day. You know, I don't care what song. There's so many songs you can do for CPR. I when I worked in the ER, you know, you typically, you know, there's medical intervention, but when it wasn't like there, I have heard nurses and stuff sing so many random ass tunes while giving CPR. Whatever works for you, buddy. Whatever keeps the person alive, that is all that matters. But I'm gonna tell you right now, it'd be so hard to focus if I'm just, you know, we're in a serious emergency. Somebody is injured. We're giving CPR, and the medic's just over here like, I saved dick by giving it CPR. I'm sorry. I apologize for the noises coming out of my mouth. As I've said, I'm very allergic to a lot of things over here on the East Coast. I have been taking these like mucus gummy things, so it is a little bit better, but I still sound like some 90-year-old smoker, like the grandma that I sound like the freaking chocolate. What are you selling? That chick from SpongeBob. I do want to make my stance on something clear, because I've been sent a lot of this today, but I haven't been able to completely, fully deep dive it yet. But I feel like even with deep diving it, I have dived it some, but my opinion is not going to change on this. If you did not see the Disneyland news, Disney World news, because people think I'm going to Universal next week, or actually in a couple days, but a lot of people when they hear Orlando, they think Disney World, and we've talked about Disney World with Latiana and stuff, right? So I was sent this. So there was a situation in Disney World France. First of all, it was not here in the US. I see that's being mixed up a lot. It's not here in the US. It was in France. It was in Paris Disney World, actually. There was a situation where a man paid $150,000 to have Disneyland, Paris, to himself in the morning for a wedding, which is very common, right? That happens all the time. Rich people get married in Disneyland. And I do say rich people because, girl, if you look up even the budget weddings, they're like still more than a freaking house. But he was 22 years old. They had like 100 wedding guests, and the bride was 9 years old. Disney employees were setting up for the wedding and everything, doing their jobs, and then they saw that the bride was a 9-year-old who looked lost and confused. She was a Ukrainian girl, sorry. So they called the authorities. They were arrested. There's still an investigation, and they're trying to claim that it was a skit, that it was just a bit, and he's a producer for content creators, and they were trying to make rage bait videos. I call absolute bullshit. I'm going to call it now. I call bullshit. You can talk your way out of that situation all you want. There is no world. I mean, even somebody like Lily Tino would not pay $150,000 to rent out Disney on top of pay 100 background guests, because even the, you know, supposed actors or whatever were saying they thought they were there for a wedding. They didn't think they were there for like a photo shoot or anything. But that was a pedophile situation. That was a little girl being sold into pedophilia. You cannot change my mind on that. They can claim it was for a rage bait video all they want, but realistically, with the fact that the wedding guests had even said, or the fact that they set up for a wedding when they could have, you know, rented Disney a lot cheaper, because people point out there's packages you can get for cheaper to rent out to like film something or whatever. Nobody is paying $150,000 for a rage bait video. But you know what pedophiles do? Rich pedophiles, they do pay $150,000 for a child bride. They'll pay even more to that. I guarantee if they look through the mom's financials, they are going to find that she got paid quite a bit for that. It's sick and disgusting. And yeah, there's no amount of bullshit manipulation talk. As a survivor of sex trafficking as a child, myself, I call 100% bullshit on that whole skit thing. And that is all I'm going to say on that. But yeah, I've had a few people message me about it because they're like, oh, you're going to Disney. Like, I'm not going to Disney. I'm going to Universal. But, you know, they think I'm going to Disney first. Like I said, anytime they hear Orlando, everybody immediately assumes Disney. But I could list a million reasons why I prefer Universal anyways. But they were like, hey, did you see this happening? And it's like, yeah, I'm not surprised, sadly. Sadly, I am not surprised. It is absolutely disgusting. But child brides still happen. They still happen in America. There's states It's absolutely disgusting. But there are states where you can still basically marry children. Adult men will marry children, and it's completely legal as long as the parents sign off on it. And there are some sick, disgusting parents out there that will sell their kids. Well, let's get off the depressing, disturbing facts of the world for a moment and get back to the funny GameStop stories. So I had a GameStop employee. So they sent me in a prank that they did on a bad coworker. But also, in a way, it's a crime. I feel like they confessed a crime to me because it was well-deserved. It was well-deserved, though. I want to be clear. So apparently they had a coworker who was their boss, by the way, who would constantly sexually harass the female employees and male employees. So they would hit on the female employees, go extreme, send the creepy Snapchats, always accidentally brushing by. But then they would also say inappropriate things to the guys, too. Like, they would tell these guys in detail about their sex life, and even when the male employees were like, hey, so I really don't want to hear about my boss's gross sexpeditions, he would still do it, and then he would be like, oh, you're just losers, you're just mad that you're not getting laid. Blah, blah, blah. Sir, that is not the problem here. Not everybody wants to hear about your grody sex life, okay? So they could not get rid of this guy. They had filed a complaint with corporate, and they would just face retaliation for it, so they just had to deal with this guy. So they decided to prank him as a little bit of karma, but it ended up being the most insane reaction because, so for their prank, yes, technically this is a crime, just keep this in mind, I'm not telling you to go do this to somebody, but they had put some thumbtacks on his chair because he was well known for sitting on his ass in the back whenever whenever it was busy. He would literally say that he was going to go, do the schedule or something, and then would go in the back of that little tiny room and leave the employees out there to fend for themselves. So they decided to put they had gotten some black thumbtacks. They said there was a Walmart across the street from their GameStop, the mall they were at, like some black thumbtacks that would blend in with the chair, and they put like 4 of them down, right? Well, they're thinking Rush hits in, they see him go in the back, and they're thinking, oh, they're going to hear a scream or something. No, tell me why this motherfucker apparently came out and walked around with these thumbtacks in his ass like the rest of the shift. And the crazy part about it is when I was first reading this story, they said, yeah, he sat down on them. And when he came out, there was actually 2 were on the floor and 2 were like still in his ass. When he came out, they thought that he was like, oh, maybe he's got they just pierced the jeans and got caught and it's not actually touching his butt. But then at one point they could see a little blood spot because he was wearing khakis. I don't know why I said jeans, but I thought, whenever I was first reading it, I was thinking, oh, maybe he wore thick pants. But then I read the rest of it, and they're like, he was wearing khakis, and you can see a little blood spot, and he had 2 thumbtacks in his ass, and was just walking around the rest of the shift. They didn't know what the fuck. I want to know how you don't feel that. Sir, what are you doing in your personal life that you are walking around with 2 thumbtacks in your ass cheeks, and you don't feel it? There's blood on the back of your khakis, which means it went into your skin. It has pierced your skin. It was stuck there. They said it took a while. They said after an hour, one of them fell off. And then after another hour, another couple hours, the other one finally fell off. But they watched him. He was sitting on the chair again, getting up, sitting back down, getting up, walking around. He is just walking around with thumbtacks in his ass. What the fuck? How did we get here, sir? How did you, I just want to know. What are you doing that your ass is so numb that you don't feel the thumbtacks? Like I said, I usually would feel bad if somebody was sitting on thumbtacks or whatever. But this guy deserved it. He's well known for sexually harassing both types of his employees, all of his employees. So and retaliating if they turned him in. So I get why they were trying to prank him. But I just don't grasp, especially from a medical standpoint, how you didn't feel that is this a kink thing where you are so into extreme impact play that you've done nerve damage to your ass? Because that is a thing. That's why it's important to take safety classes and learn about impact play, because it can cause nerve damage. It can also cause blood clotting with the bruising and stuff. It can literally be deadly. So what has happened here that you're walking around with blood flowing down the back of your khaki pants because you don't even realize? And it makes me wonder if he did realize, because she said he never said anything to any of them. He never complained. He never said anything. He acted like they weren't there. He made no comments about it. He literally acted like they weren't there. So I just keep thinking, like, what happened there that you're walking around and you don't feel it? What kind of medical situation is going on with you, buddy? My thing is even if this guy somehow did not feel them in his ass and it wasn't him just like playing it off, you had to at least seen the blood when you were doing laundry, right? If there's blood on the back of your khakis. I don't understand. So I just had some breaking news that involves those teenagers again. So I paused the podcast to go downstairs for a minute. I even looked at Brett. I was like, I'm at 34 minutes. I still have 25 minutes to record. Don't touch my computer because the kids are asleep, blah, 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 right? And I go downstairs and those same fucking teenagers, it wasn't the same kid as last night, but the same group. I recognize them because they keep wearing the same shirt, right? They all have these uniform church shirts. I shit you not. I go outside, and if you haven't seen, I keep a lighter leash and a miniature bottle of hairspray because that is the one weapon you can travel with no matter, even on a plane and stuff, right? For self-defense. So, I always have that, right? And I walk outside to my car, and I get these good-ass mints they have downstairs, by the way, in the lobby. And these fucking group, they look like 12 years old. I know that they're 14 to 17 because that's what the one chick said their group is, right? But they look like 12 years old. And they come up and ask me for a light. They're like, can we get a light? And they have a fucking pack of cigarettes, Newports. Okay, what fucking 14-year-old, the 12-year-old, whatever the fuck age they, what child is out here buying Newports? Who the fuck sold this child Newports, or who did they steal them from? My guess is they stole them from somebody because, there's no way anybody thought they were over the age of 21. These were, children. And I did not give them the light, by the way. I was like, no. And then they got pissy with me. They were like, fine. And then were bitching at me. Not at me, but about me. I could hear them because they walked off to the truck they were hiding behind to smoke. They're over here trying to figure out how to fucking light it. Oh my God. They were over here talking about, you're probably 30 something. What? What the fuck kind of insult is that? What the fuck is wrong with Gen Alpha? What do you mean you're trying to smoke? The church kids are trying to smoke Newports behind a truck in the fucking hotel parking lot. So I'm not trying to encourage kids consuming nicotine at all, but I thought the cool kids vaped nowadays. Does that make you cooler that you still owe some Newports? Or does it make you, the unpopular one to be smoking Newports in the parking lot? Either way, what the fuck? Where are these children's parents? Okay, I need somebody to come get their damn kids. Over here talking about how I'm old because I must be 30-something because I wouldn't light their cigarette. What the fuck? Once again, if anyone would like to DM me and tell me how the fuck I'm supposed to react to this, because I genuinely do not know what the fuck I'm supposed to be saying in these situations. I need an adult or whatever the saying is. What the fuck? The fuck? I'm not trying to be out here parenting someone else's children, but why are their children out here smoking Newports that they clearly stole from somebody in the damn parking lot? I feel like a boomer right now over here, these kids in my yard. I feel like a fucking boomer complaining about it, but genuinely, it is deeply concerning that these church kids are fucking wild. You know what it reminds me of? That freaking South Park episode where they're have some, calm down, bitch, have some gummy bear surprise. And it's a kindergartner and they're like, I'm 5 and I'm already dying while they're vaping. And Butters is a vape dealer. Speaking of Butters, I posted a video. There is this army officer, and he's a butter bar. Which if you don't know is, the first rank of officers, because their bar is shiny and stuff. They call them butter bars, but I called him Butters because he is I don't know what it is, the haircuts, the vibes, all of it just reminds me of an adult Butters if Butters from South Park became an officer. And I'm not trying to be mean to the dude. I literally every time I see him pop up on my FYP, I'm like, it's Butters from South Park if he was in the army. He's very particular about regulations too. That's what his videos were about. It was this is how you blouse your boots. Don't tuck. Don't stop tucking. First of all, nobody cares. I promise. As long as you're bloused properly. I use hair scrunchies. I've always used hair scrunchies. I taught people at basic how to use hair scrunchies because if you do it, it looks better than it does with the boot blouses. And then you can use your boot blouses to make sure your bed's nice and fancy for basic. Unless you have a very particular drill sergeant who will check that shit, and then you're gonna come back to your barracks destroyed. So Maybe don't follow my advice, my bad. But, if you're like doing barracks checks at a regular, your regular base, you're already there, then you'll be fine. Nobody cares. Just don't hide any women under your bed or in totes. I shit you not. The way some guys will try to hide barracks bunnies is the funniest shit. Because if you don't know, was one of the 13 born females in a combat battalion. If you haven't figured that out, I don't know. I've mentioned it plenty of times. But because of that, when they would do room checks, if they had like a female on the roster, they were going to be doing room checks for. Because a lot of those combat units only had a few female born, and I say female born because we had two trans soldiers in my old unit, but they had to be female born to go check a female born, a woman's barracks. And if they had them on the list, they would just like grab somebody, because even if it wasn't from our battalion, like the NCOs, our whole brigade had almost all of its soldiers in this one section, right? So even if it was for another battalion, they would just pull one of us. They'd be whoever's not doing something right now, come on. If you ain't got something swinging between your legs, come help us, because we got to have somebody with us if there's even one female on that entire list for the room checks. So we go do them. And we would go down the list. It'd usually just be one female, and then the rest were guys. But I had to tag along for all of them, right? For this whole list till we got to the females' room. And then we saw so many guys who would hide barracks bunnies in the weirdest fucking places. Like, sir, what are you doing? First of all, this is why there's such a large STD rate, STI, sorry, it's now STI, percentage on base, this right here, because I have caught the same girl in multiple dudes' barracks before. There was one barracks bunny in particular. She had been married like 3 different times to different soldiers already, and she was looking for her 4th husband. And we caught her in so many different, like, people. We technically couldn't like ban her from base, but it was like as soon as somebody found out she was on base, we knew she was going to be in 2nd Brigade's freaking barracks. In somebody's fucking, it was always 2nd Brigade. I guess she was like really into, she was a rifle licker. And if you don't know, so there's tag chasers, which are somebody who is trying to go after a military person. They want to be a dependa. But then there's rifle lickers, and those are the ones that are particularly going after combat MOSs in hopes that they will marry a combat soldier and he will die. That way they can get the Gold Star benefits, which, as somebody from a Gold Star family, and as a veteran, makes me want to set people on fire. But that's not legal. But that's how it makes me feel. Rifle lickers are the worst of all of the dependas. I would rather deal with like an entitled Karen dependa than a rifle licker, because at least the Karen dependa is just annoying as hell. A rifle licker is literally looking for a soldier to get benefits by them passing away on deployment. So this one in particular, she was always in 2nd Brigade Battalion, 2nd Brigade's barracks, not battalion, sorry, and 2nd Brigade's barracks. And there was one time I found her in a freaking tote in his closet, like literally. And that's the thing, almost got away with it too. She almost got away with it too. It wasn't until I heard her sneeze. We heard her sneeze. If she had not sneezed, we would have just thought it was another tote in the freaking closet. Another time, caught her under the bed, and he had shoved bins under the bed so that she was behind them. The problem was this girl wore like 50 fucking pounds of perfume, like Bath and Body Works. She was just using like half a bottle at a time, and I could smell her. She wore Sweet Pea. She always wore Sweet Pea. You could smell that girl a mile away. I could smell her in the room, and I was like, we're finding you. And yep, she was up under the bed, back up there. I had another friend who had went with barracks checks and had found her too. At one point, found her hiding behind the toilet for whatever godforsaken. Girl, what the fuck? How do you even get back there? If you've ever seen a barracks room, like, toilet, because this was in the barracks that, like, these were the barracks I was in before I got married. When I was active duty, because once you get married, move out and stuff. But I was in the barracks, and, like, these bathrooms were really small, and she had gone in between, like, she had pushed her legs behind the fucking toilet, and her head and face were behind. They had put like a trash can, and they had put some towels hanging to make it look like he just needed to clean up his towel. Sir, what the fuck? Like, she had a picture of it. My friend actually Martinez has a picture of this. I need to get it from her and show you. I mean, I need to ask if she still has it, because it's been like a decade since this happened. But like, I could ask if she still has that photo, because I'll never forget that. This barracks, but literally her legs are behind the toilet, and I don't even know how. Like, because there's only a few inches between the toilet and the wall. She has got her legs behind the toilet. She is like laying behind the trash can. They had put a bunch of towels over her to make it seem like she was, like, there was just a pile of towels there. Like, the creativity of this damn rifle licker. I'll give her that. I'll give her that. She's real creative. And I do know for a fact, before anybody's like, oh, that's mean to assume that she's passing around STDs because the high STD rate. I know for a fact she was. You know how I know for a fact she was? Because I know 3 separate soldiers that got goddamn chlamydia from her. And the reason we found out about the third is the other 2 were talking about how they just got chlamydia, had to do all this stuff right after sleeping with her. And then they saw the other guy with her coming out of the barracks, right? He apparently was a virgin too. And he was talking about how he just wanted to like lose his virginity, and she was hitting on him. It was super easy. He was a tanker. And they were like, dude, you got chlamydia. And like, he's like, no, there's no way. Like, it was my first time. There's no way I'm going to catch an STD on my first time. Like, blah, blah, blah. You know, she was on birth control, but first of all, the birth control does not stop you from getting STIs, but all this crap. And then he went, I think it was like 2 weeks later, finally went into sick call, and he had chlamydia, the gift that just keeps on giving in the barracks. Please stop screwing barracks. First of all, if you're gonna screw the barracks, bunny, stop doing it raw. At least arm your soldier before you send him to war. And I trust me, the barracks bunnies are a war zone. And I'm not trying to shame women who, want to be promiscuous. That is completely your business, girl. You go get your nut. I am shaming rifle lickers who are out here not doing it because they want to be sexy, strong, independent women. It's because they want to trap a man. That's where I have the problem is that, like, I don't think body count means anything. I don't care about that kind of stuff. Do what you want to do, girl. But when you're doing it to trap somebody, that's a whole different situation. I know at one point she was telling people like how she was trying to get knocked up by one of the combat guys, so, because benefits, and then get him to marry her and all that crap. But I think the clap might have been why she couldn't get pregnant, because that can cause infertility. The worst part is she had been informed by those 2 other guys, because this happened over the span of like 4 weeks or so. She'd been informed by the other 2 guys did inform her that she had it, and I guess that meant she just didn't bother to get treatment. And to be clear, before anybody's like, oh, maybe she couldn't afford it, there is a free medical clinic for civilians, like right outside the base, that she could have gone to and gotten med. She just chose not to. So just remember to condom up, arm your soldier before you send him to war. You might be clapping her cheeks with the local freaks, but you gonna end up with the clap if you don't, or something worse, or the longest STI ever, which is a child. That is an 18-year commitment, buddy. I love my kids, but I had my kids out of choice, and they were planned. I'm not trying to shame people who have accidents, but having an accidental child with a barracks bunny is not an ideal situation. Like, just a friendly reminder that majority of adult toy stores have a military discount. So if you're really struggling, if your hand or whatever you're using isn't getting it for you, you don't have to go get a barracks bunny. There's pocket pussies and stuff that you can get at a local store. Remember to make sure they're body safe ones, the ones that say like novelty and stuff that are at Spencer's. The reason they say novelty on them, like in small print, is because they are actually not body safe, and they're cheaply made and can cause all kinds of issues like cancer and infertility and infections and stuff. Yeah, don't use the Spencer's cheapy ones. But I don't know. Go full American Pie and put a fucking pie in the microwave. Whatever you need to do to not fuck the barracks bunny, please. I could go through a whole list of other options. There's things that you can safely put your dick into that is not gonna give you an STD, a possible baby, any of the things. Get you in trouble for having her in your room, in the barracks. Whatever the case may be. I do, like, and don't get me wrong, I understand the rule about the barracks of not having guests is kind of fucking stupid when you think about it, because E5 and below, if they're not married, they're in there if they have no dependents. And like, there's some of these guys are like 35 years old and being treated like children. It's kind of stupid because they decided to join later in life or whatever the case may be. That's why you have so many people that get married just to get out of the barracks. But like, still, come on, please stop with the barracks bunnies. And to the barracks bunnies, y'all, come on now. Okay, the military don't pay that much. The benefit, I mean, yeah, there's some benefits, but it's not that much. Come on. girl, what is that saying? Girl, go wash your face or something. I don't know. Wash your ass too. But like, whatever the saying is, go have some motivation. Stop aiming to be a dependa. Like, you should be marrying for love, not for freaking TRICARE. Like, girl, I know it's hard out there, but it ain't that hard. Come on. There's rose toys and stuff nowadays. You can get a night off the other way. I'm not trying to say you can't have fun, but at least wrap it up or something. Come on. Okay, come on. But both parties are responsible in this situation. We were talking about Judge Judy earlier. Well, apparently this is Judge Ribbon, and I'm sentencing you both. Both sides are guilty. Okay, please stop the shenanigans. Start using your hands again. I don't know how I ended up on this side of TikTok, but I was scrolling earlier and there was this Marine. He was talking to another Marine about his experience with this freaky girl that he met that apparently was on OnlyFans. And he was like, yeah, I hooked up with this OnlyFans model. And he talked about how she flipped him over and shoved her fist up his ass and he nutted in like 20 seconds. I'm like, why are you telling TikTok this? Why am I having to hear this? Okay, when that is popping, that was a casual encounter for you. That was a casual encounter for you. To have that done to you. That's when, we gotta reel it back, people. Come on. We gotta start having some sort of standards or something here, because shit getting too wild. Okay? As a demisexual, I already struggled with, hookup culture. There's no world where I could handle all that. Oh my, what is happening? Y'all go. These are things that you should be doing when you've been dating 2 or 3 months, not 30 minutes after meeting. Okay? Come on. We got something. I know I try to give dating advice to incels and stuff to help them. Here's my latest dating tip. If she's trying to fist your ass right after meeting, maybe that's girl, sir. I mean, I'm not shaming you if you're into it. That's fine. I'm just saying that's not really a first date hookup, Netflix and chill. You just met this girl kind of thing. So I understand that a lot of the incel community is just trying to get laid and they want to get laid, but buddy, at what cost? At what cost? Because that's like a 10th date action, not a first date. Okay. I've heard a lot of people that have been in long-term relationships tell their love stories. I have taught kink education classes, and I have plenty of love stories that I've heard, right, at events and stuff, about they've been together for 10 years. And even those people are not over here yeah, our first date, she shoved her fist up my ass. Yep, 30 minutes after meeting. We didn't even go on a date. We watched fucking Netflix in the barracks. Never heard a love story start like that. They do that stuff, but they'll be yeah, it was after we'd been dating for 2 months. Then we did that. Yeah, maybe not first date. Also, why are we telling TikTok this? Because, dude, I have no shame. Every time I think, I have no shame, there's anything crazier that I could post. My life is an open book. I have no problem telling people stuff. I see some fucked up shit like that come up on my FYP, and I'm like, damn, maybe I am not as unfiltered as I think I am, because there's no world where I would have came on TikTok and told somebody that just randomly. I mean, maybe it's because it was the Marines and all the toxins and the crowns they were eating got to his head. I don't know. That they do call them jarheads for a reason. Well, I am going to go ahead and cut this episode a couple of minutes short just because I need to get to bed for the drive tomorrow. I do have I have 12 stories, GameStop stories that have been sent to me that I am going to finally get around to reading once we are in Orlando, where I will have better service, because I have crap service in West Virginia and North Carolina. It's just been a crap show with service. But usually Orlando's not that bad. It's not great, but it's not, too bad. I'll be able to catch up on those stories. Please feel free to keep sending them in for the GameStop stories and your Plob experience stories. Like I said, I get back the weekend of July 4th, which means the week after that is when I will start having guests on there. I have had several mutuals and followers who want to be on. We are going to start. I figured it out. We have been learning it, how to do that, digital, virtual guests on here so that we can start having other people share their Plob experiences. Once again, will be for Plob experience. Please stop trying to use me as a therapist, because oh my gosh, I've had a couple of random complete strangers that I've never had conversations with come in my DMs lately, and they're like, I want to be on the podcast. I'm like, cool. And then I'm like, what's your Plob story? And then it's just them telling me something that's not even Plob related, at all, not game related at all. They're just bitching about their personal life, and I'm like, hi, so I may be a therapist, but I'm not your therapist. This is really uncomfortable. Please stop telling me your detail. I don't know how to politely, and I listen. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna listen. I'm not gonna like put their personal business out there, what they were saying, but it's also just kind of like awkward because it has nothing to do with gaming. It has nothing to do with plobs. It's just them having a shitty day, and they've just decided to let that go in my DMs, and I'm just over here like, oh, okay. So do you have like a plob story, or did you just need somebody to talk to? What is happening right now? Like, I don't know how to react. Nah, I am in the mental health field for my day job, but like, this is supposed to be plobs and GameStop stories and like fandom stories, ER stories, kink stories, not also like, military stories and stuff, but not whatever that was that I just read. This is really awkward. I don't mind mutuals and friends venting to me. It's when it's a stranger who I've never had a conversation with and they'll DM me and I will open it up and it's the very first interaction I've ever had with this person. I have no idea who they are. And they have sent me this like random rant that has nothing to do with any, like, I'm literally part of like 5 different niches and it will not have anything to do with any of those. It will just be like the most random thing, and I don't know what I'm supposed to say to that. And I'm trying to be nice and supportive to the stranger, but I honestly have no idea what the fuck. There was one related to like a cheerleading incident, and I'm just like, what? Something about, like I said, I don't want to give their personal details, but there was some like competition within the cheerleaders at this college cheerleading team, and they sent me this whole rant about it, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on now, buddy. Well, I appreciate that you feel like I'm somebody you could talk to, but also I don't even know your name. What the fuck is happening right now in my DMs? So please keep that in mind when you DM me stories. I don't mind. I love being able to tell your guys' plob stories. I tag the people that want to be tagged. I keep them anonymous if they want to be anonymous. But, ER stories, kink stories, plob stories, GameStop stories, fandom stories, military stories, all of that's fine. But the randomness is what I don't know. Maybe it's the autism. I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to say to some of this stuff. I'm just sitting there like, dude, I have multiple degrees. Like, my day job is literally in mental health. And even I don't know what to respond to some of the randomness that I get. So just, keep that in mind. I don't mind that, if maybe you just need somebody to rant to, that's fine. Just like maybe put that at the end and be like, hey, I'm just here to rant. Like, cool, that's fine. But if you're like wanting me to legitimately respond, I don't know nothing about like competitive cheerleader drama and college stuff. I'm just a random dude with a mic. So yeah. But everybody remember to stay hydrated. There is a severe heat warning. Please stay hydrated. Keep in mind, if you're like wearing a sports bra or a binder and stuff, you're also not, or like compression tops, like the super compression stuff. You should not be wearing those if it's over 100 degrees when you're outside, because it can be super dangerous and it goes from like helping exercise or flatten or whatever to end up being a safety risk. So please keep that in mind. Everybody have a good week, hydrate, and I will see you guys on Monday. And as always, I am a kid with interchangeable accessories for their pleasure.